This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
What is going on, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Michael over here and Deuce, HBCU Central. Real quick, y'all, we not going to hold y'all too long, but real quick, we wanted to talk about DeSean Jackson and Michael Vick year two bounce back and both of their teams have a chance to make a difference. To start this off, to answer the question, do I think Delaware State can make a leap in 2026? Yes. Delaware State has already made its foundational leap and is primed to contend for the MEAC championship in 2026, Deuce. While Michael Vick's Norfolk State is in position for a major cultural and roster-driven bounce back. Fresh off the MEAC Media Day, both programs have completely rewritten the trajectories under former Philadelphia Eagles legends. Now, for Delaware State, from Cinderellas to certified contenders. That's why I call it from Cinderellas to certified contenders. I mean no harm when I say that, but if you understand, if you watch Cinderella, you kind of understand. I mean, there was no disrespect right there. So I don't want nobody to come and saying, what you mean by Cinderella? No, I mean no disrespect. Delaware State does not need to make a leap in 2026. They already made a historic one last fall under head coach DeSean Jackson. After being picked to finish dead last in 2025, Jackson led the Hornets to an 8-4 record, clinching their first best season since 2007. They fell just short of the Celebration Bowl in a winner-take-it-all regular season finale against South Carolina State. Why they can win the MEAC in 2026? 3 reasons. Voter respect. The 2026 MEAC preseason poll ranked Delaware State 3rd overall, but they uniquely captured 2 first-place votes. This signals that coaches see them on equal footing with front-runners South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. Number 2, defensive staples. Despite losing key offensive pieces like Marquise Gillis, the Hornets returned to Forco's defensive unit, anchored by first-team All-MEAC selections. If I'm saying his name incorrectly, I apologize. Deuce and Wayne Favors. Number 3, favorable schedule structure. They play a brutal non-conference style, including a payday game against South Florida on September 19th, meaning they will be heavily battle-tested by the time conference play opens October 2024. Now, Norfolk State. Here it is. The year 2 roster. Michael Vick's debut in 2025 was a sobering reality check, finishing 1-11 within their only win coming against Division II Virginia State. However, year 2 is a setup for a textbook bounce back because Vick didn't just tweak the edges of the program; he tore the house down to rebuild it. I'm gonna say it again. He just didn't tweak the edges of the program. He tore the house down to rebuild it. Why the Spartans will bounce back? Watch this. Get 3 things. First thing, the 40 new faces rule. Vick completely flushed the roster, bringing approximately 40 new players by recruiting and the transfer portal to establish its own disciplined culture. Number 2, quarterback upgrade. The offense will look entirely different with transfer quarterback Reggie Johnson taking in the reins, bringing a dual threat capability that fits Michael Vick's offensive philosophy. Number 3, dark horse factor. While picked 5th in the MEAC poll, Norfolk State shockingly received 1 first-place vote from a league voter. At Media Day, Vick explicitly noted that the locker room feels different and that the team has high initial confidence. A bounce back to a 5 or 6 wins is entirely achievable. Now, here's the data circle I want to give you, Deuce. On October 31st, 2026, the absolute peak of the MEAC schedule occurs on Halloween night when DeSean Jackson and the Hornets travel to face Michael Vick and the Spartans. This cross-generational matchup features two childhood favorite Eagles turned into D1 coaches, has highlighted by Simone with the sports. That's what the sports place is called. Simone with the sports, putting the conference star power on full display.
Look, Mike, yeah. I'm gonna say this really quick. We just spoke with Sean, from Delaware State. If I'm Delaware State and they lost in a winner-take-all game last year against South Carolina State for that MEAC championship spot in the Celebration Bowl, and Michael, we were talking about that. We were talking about that. We were literally saying, because if you don't watch our old videos, go watch them back from the fall. Me and Michael we were covering Delaware State and Norfolk. Those were the two main teams that we were covering out the MEAC. Once they met, we was like, okay, both these teams have a bright future. And look, even though Norfolk lost, they lost to a pretty formidable opponent. If you really look at it, Norfolk lost a lot of games to one-score games, one-possession games last season. Norfolk is not a bad team in my eyes. I think Coach Vick just needed more time to get adjusted to the roster. This year, you come into year 2 with the full year under your belt. Now you know how this recruiting goes. Now you know how this goes. And look, I think Coach Jackson, you can call it luck, you can call it skill. He just had the better team in the first year to, take them farther. Now, do I believe that the same success can happen in year 2? Yes, because I don't believe in regression when I see how teams have been doing this offseason. You just went out and we just literally spoke to a whole transfer from Louisville. That's players that you need going to these HBCUs. The players that are not getting enough playing time at these Power 4, Power 5 schools. These are the players you need at these HBCUs. And the fact that they're coming over to the MEAC conference, look, that's all building a better team. Like Sean said, I think Coach Jackson has a lot in store, for Delaware. Like he said, Delaware State, they see all the talks. They're just sitting back and they're quiet. They're quiet. Norfolk, I think you have a little bit more to prove due to Coach Vick and how he ended the year last year. You ended below 500 with a very bad below 500 record, and I hate to say it, but it was not good. And in this day and age, if you're not winning, you're going to get fired. And HBCUs, they have a tendency they fire coaches rapidly like this. And Michael, you can agree with this. Coaches come and go in the HBCU. They come and go so fast. Hugh Jackson was the coach for Grambling, and he was gone in 2 years. If you can't get it done, you're going to get moved on from. And I really want Coach Vick to get I want him to make a name for himself in the MEAC. Prime was able to do it, and it helped. Look what it did to his team. Look what it did to Jackson State. If Vick can do what he's doing to Norfolk, like Jackson is doing what he's doing to Delaware State, you can get more players wanting to go to these schools and commit to these schools. You just got to think about it in the bigger picture. Now, to answer the question before we end this off, do I believe that both these teams can have an improvement this season? Yes. I don't think Delaware State. I think Delaware State is going to, if I'm being honest, I think they're in front of North Carolina Central for, beating South Carolina State for that next MEAC spot. And for South Carolina State, yes, y'all are still the undisputed first place team in everybody's polls, but that doesn't mean get too comfortable. No, the season hasn't started yet. These are just preseason polls. So I wouldn't go take and say, oh, we're number one. No, you have a long season to prove. And this is what I see in our comment section all the time, because we've been posting polls and rankings. Look, it's a preseason poll. You take it with a grain of salt, and you continue to, if you're a team that's at the top, you take it with a grain of salt and say, okay, we can't get too complacent. If we're a team that is towards the bottom of the rankings, we say, okay, we take note of this. We don't comment it, but we don't comment our frustrations about it, because then, you let the media get to you. No, you take note of it and you go compete. And I'm just making this note out there before I end this. I'm making this note out to all the players at our D2 HBCUs in our comment sections at the CIAC schools and the CIA schools. It's no hate towards y'all's teams. It's just a preseason ranking. We don't hate on no HBCUs. We're just predicted order of finish. It is a prediction. It's no hate. You can't. Somebody has to be number one. Not everybody can be number one. Come on, man. Yeah, and I'm gonna say it like that. But look, and Michael, do you have anything to say before I close this out? But let me say this, answer your question. I think both teams, yes, Delaware State and Norfolk can make an improvement. I think Norfolk has more to prove than Delaware State. But let me say this, Delaware State, I think they make it to the MEAC championship, if not for South Carolina State. But Michael, did you have anything to say before we close this out?
All I'm gonna say is this, Deuce. There's a saying that I saw on Instagram that it made so much sense to me. And I say this to all our viewers watching this. You can't build a championship program without the right players and the right data. You cannot build a championship program without the right players and the right data. Point blank, period. You can call it what you want. Let me say this, Deuce. Just because in reality of football, season can go two ways.
Mm-hmm.
Season can go two ways. You can start as a first-year head coach. You can start the season off good. You can start the season off bad. And then your second season can end up badly. Or your first season can go badly. And your second season can go well. Or your season can go bad and then your next season goes bad. Or your first season goes good and then your second season goes good. There are many different, I know I said two, but that's really whatever you want to call it. There are many phrases on, on why as a coach, as a team, as a community, you can't always get riled up on success of that first season or that second season with your head coach or your coaches, whatever. But dudes, I believe in fallback because it's all about the data. You got to have the right data. What I'm saying, my offensive people, but hold on. Hear me out right now, okay? Hear me out. Before y'all start criticizing, just listen. Just because Delaware State had a good season last season, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of DeSean Jackson had the right data. He had the right players. He had the right players to win. He had the right players to win more games than lose. Michael Vick had it differently. And you can call it what you want. Some Norfolk fans might get offended, but I'm sorry. But the truth is, DeSean Jackson had more data. He had the right players. He just didn't have a good enough. I take that back. He had some good data. He had some good data to start off because he was close to the Celebration Bowl. But in the second season, now since our team is 50-50, it can go the same way or it can not go the same way. That's just what it is. That's the truth here. No, and it's the same with Norfolk State. Michael Vick, we finished 1-11, right, Deuce? They finished 1-11. Who is to say they might not? Let me say this: they'll do better.
Delaware State, before Delaware State hired Coach Jackson, they turned it around in like a season or two. Yes, it can be done, and that's why I tell people all the time: you cannot go off of last season's success for real because there's you have a half of your roster each year is probably majority of the time you come in with half a new roster. You retain some of the guys and you lose half of the guys.
But it's up to the coaches. It's up to the staff to continue that winning culture. That's what my dad says all the time. Your season can go the way the coaches teach these new players how this season can go.
Agreed.
Make them reflect on how last season went. Make them reflect. Get them on that mindset. Don just had that particular mindset, dude. He just said it. That's an electrifying response. But at the same time, like I constantly just said, you cannot keep being spoiled on success of first season. You can't be spoiled by that. You have to take each season and you have to look at the data to see if you got the same data as you had later. That's the same way with peer review. That's the same way with peer review. They, in their first season, man, they went to the SWAC championship and the celebration. But can I just say this? Can I say this? Can I speak the truth here? Who is to say that peer review might not even do the same this year? I'm not saying they won't, but I'm just saying who is to say they might not have the same data they had last year? But who is to say they might have the right data and they do the same thing this year? Listen, It's all about in the data and the players' mindset that they do not lose that winning figure that they had in that first season. I mean, you can sit here and say we're being biased, but the truth is, you can't be spoiled on success. You can't be spoiled on preseason rankings. You can't be spoiled by that. And like Dude just said, somebody has to be number one. Don't take it personally. It's nothing personal. It's just rankings. And dude, this is why I constantly say I don't listen. I don't defend. I don't get emotional when it comes down to rankings. I don't get emotional about it. You know why? Because it turns to the fire.
Yeah, it's early. You cannot. Okay, and this is how I see it. And I know we're driving off topic real quick. When you sit there in the preseason rankings and you see it, you cannot sit there and say, "Oh, just because we should be ranked right here, just because off of last season." No, you know what factors into it? It factors into last season, off-season recruiting, off-season transfer portal. It's a lot that factors into it. Yes, you could have a good team last year, but look how much you retained coming into the year 2 versus year 1. So, and I sit here and I just look at all these preseason polls that we've been dropping out, and I'm looking at these teams. And I'm like, okay, some of the players in there, and it's no hate because, like I say, I support every school, but I'm just looking at it. I'm like, okay, how can you base your team off of last year when it's a whole new ball game? Now, I'd understand if it's mid-season rankings, okay, and you clearly beat them, and the rankings are like, no. But a preseason ranking, man, it's no reason to get spoiled and then your feelings over. It's just not. And
let me say this, dude. When we say spoiled, we're not saying that to be disrespectful. We're saying this respectfully. You cannot always use success from last year as your point for this year. That's not how it works. In the game of football, it's all about having the data that you had last year and making sure that you keep that same data as a coach, as a defensive coach, as an offensive coach, as a head coach, as a linebackers coach, running backs coach, whatever. You got to make sure that you have the right depth, basically data. That's what I mean when I say data, depth, because you can't always say that, oh, you know, I mean, we went 8-5, 8-4, we went 11 last year, and you mean to tell me that we're not gonna have a chance this year? Dude, how many championship teams have we seen?
Most teams don't go back to back. Most teams don't go back to back. Most teams
exactly.
do not go back to back.
You can't always be so riled up on the success that you had last year. You can't always be riled up on the preseason rankings. You can't always be riled up with the transfers and recruiting.
I'm sorry. It's just like, and you know, I support every SEAC team, but it's just like, man, I see players from Albany State, and I see players from Kentucky State, Compton. I know that y'all had a great season last year. I know it, and I know that y'all are surprised that Edward Waters is first in the poll, and I would be too. But don't go in, oh, this is like, don't get in your feelings about it. It's a preseason poll.
Dude, that's just fan base love. That's all that is. That's just fan base. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But I think the message, what I'm trying to say is, I think players should stop taking it as so serious and as motivation for fuel to the fire.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to get across. And I think some players are taking it as, oh, it's trying to come off as a form of disrespect, like we don't respect the program. And look, I'm sorry, Lane College. I am sorry. Y'all have not had good seasons the last 5 seasons. It's been below 500, and last year was one of y'all's worst. I hate to say it. I have been in tap with y'all's program, but when I see stuff based like that, and I see what y'all been doing this offseason, which compared to other teams in the SEAC has not been as much. Of course, that's going to drive us to put you last. Do we mean it? No. Do we want to see y'all shock us and prove us wrong? Yes, because I want to see every team prove me wrong.
Yes. But dude, that's like that with every single ranking. That's like that with every single ranking from different HBCU sports medias on Instagram. You see it. It's no disrespect. It's no disrespect. But at the same time, don't be throwing a temper tantrum about it. Don't go off the rails about it. Don't go off on us about it. Listen, despite of how Lane College season went, how they've been over the years, how regardless how Mississippi Valley State, how it don't matter. Listen, you as a fan base, I appreciate the confidence. And there's nothing wrong with a confident fan. I'd rather have a confident fan than a criticizing fan. Listen, regardless of how they struggled last year, Lane College can make a difference this year.
Mississippi Valley can too.
Mississippi Valley struggled last year. Mississippi Valley can make a difference this year. How can they do that? They got to have the right players and the right darn data. You can call it what you want. You can say we being biased. You can say we criticize. We're not doing that. What we're trying to tell you is that you cannot constantly sit here and be spoiled on what happened last year. This is a whole different year. This is a whole different ball game with a whole different teams in this conference or in your conference. You got to let your data do the talking for you. And
the data and the work on the field do the talking.
Yes, that's what the offseason is for. That's what these coaches are doing now today, getting their players riled up, getting them to understand we cannot go like we did last year, or we have to continue to go like we did last year. But it's up to you to make that happen. These coaches, all they can do is call the play. Discipline these guys. These guys got to step on that field and know this is our time. We have to do better than what we did last year, or continue to keep doing better like we did last year. That's what this is. This is not criticism to your HBCU. I don't know how clear I can make that, Deuce. This is not criticism to you. This is not criticism to you. If anything, we're doing exactly what these other HBCU media are doing. We're doing exactly the same. It's no different here. But Deuce, we've had people criticize us because they think we're criticizing HBCUs. Let me make this clear, y'all. HBCU Central is for your HBCU. This is how the sports world works. There are going to be rankings that you don't like. There are going to be record predictions you don't like.
There's going to be statements that you don't agree with.
Don't agree with. That is the rule of the game. And I know some old folk gonna see it talking about how you know the rule of the game. You just young. Let me tell you something. I might be young. We might be young, but we dang sure ain't stupid. We weren't born yesterday. And I don't watch football all my entire life. I know the struggle. I've seen teams struggle and come up. I've seen teams come up and then struggle back again. It's the reality of the game. It's all about what these players do. And I don't know how much I can clear that. Like I said, you can feel how you want. You can feel what you want about this. You can feel what you want about us. But this is the truth. You got to have the right data to win a championship. You got to have the right players to win a championship. Any team can transfer and get a big amount of players from a big amount of schools or whatever it may be. It's all in the players and it's all in the coaches that make sure that they are disciplining these players and they are coaching these players correctly to make sure that they have that championship mindset. Like Sean just said on the previous episode, Deuce, he had that mindset already. How did he get that mindset? Because how he was coached. Mm-hmm. He was coached to think that way. And it's up to the coaches to do that. And let me gonna say this. We said Norfolk State and Delaware State have a chance. We both said that. But you got to overcome South Carolina State. You got to overcome North Carolina Central over there in the MEAC. Okay? I'm just going to be real. Can I be real? I'm being real, Deuce. I'm trying
to I think and I'm going to say this. For Delaware, it's more of South Carolina State. For Norfolk, you got to prove to the MEAC that you can compete in the MEAC. Because if I remember, if I'm wrong, I don't remember if they won one game in the MEAC or none at all. But anyways, if I'm Delaware State, I have to prove. I mean, not Delaware State. If I'm Norfolk, I have to prove I can compete in the MEAC. To me, Delaware State, look, you worry about being the top two teams, North Carolina Central and South Carolina. But Norfolk, I'm coming into this season saying I have to put my name on the map. First, I need to be Howard. I need to be Howard. I need to be able to be Morgan State. I need to go over there and be South Carolina State, Delaware State, and North Carolina Central, the big teams. So look, I think overall to close this episode out, both teams, the MEAC overall has a lot of teams it's sleeper teams in the MEAC this year, whether you like it or not. And coaches have a lot to prove. And I think this year, one thing I'm gonna say is the fact that we've been covering this all HBCU football all offseason, the hype is most definitely there for August 29th kickoff. And I'm gonna say this before we close out. Me and Michael will be trying to do a game from each conference come football season. So one game from the MEAC, SWAC, CIA, Last year we didn't do the SEAC and the CIA, but we tried to do it for basketball. But as HBCU Central has continued to grow, as HBCU Central has continued to grow, we are expanding our work. So that means you will be hearing more of your team, and we have to show love to more of these SEAC and CIA teams. We have to. So that would be the main goal. And as the season starts rolling out, keep checking out our account for more updates, reels, highlights, everything. And if you're an HBCU account that wants to collab with us, hey, feel free to. Feel free to. We don't say no. We accept all HBCU content. If you think that we're just we may post just HBCU like sports, but hey, me and Michael, if you watch our reels, there's been times where me and Michael talk about real HBCU events, just like we did earlier. And those will be uploaded on the account. So don't ever feel like HBCU Central is just a sports page. No. It's an HBCU page. It's HBCU awareness page. And yes, it's community driven. And yes, we do need to get more HBCU work out on there. But like the page right now is modeled to look like ESPN and NFL. But me and Michael don't have an issue posting, content related to real world issues amongst our HBCUs. And that's what we want y'all to understand. HBCU Central is dedicated to helping the HBCUs and supporting the HBCUs. And I'm going to say this before we close this out. We are at 388 subscribers on YouTube. We're at, I believe, hold on, I can check right now. We're on on HBCU Central, we're at 2,170 followers. Get it to 2,200. I believe that it's the road to 5,000. And I believe that with y'all support, we can get there. But as always, thank y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Michael, do you have any closing remarks before we end this?
The only thing I can say, Deuce, as far as that Howard situation, try to see if you can talk to the Bison brothers. That podcast over there. They know much more about Howard, and they probably know about the enrollment situation. But Deuce basically just summed it up. But for the sake of time, I don't have anything. Y'all have a wonderful, peaceful day. And like Deuce just said, we're for every. So what we just talked about, there's no criticism to none of your HBCUs. Okay, I'm just gonna say it now. If you feel some type of way, I'm sorry, but the truth hurts. And my mom always tell me the truth don't hurt nobody. Okay, we say this respectfully. All right, but for the sake of time, Deuce, that's all I got. But yeah, I'll check out the Bryson Brothers podcast or sports show.
And make sure y'all checking out the reels. So the reel on the Howard situation will be posted shortly as well to Sean Boykins, because I did tell him that we would get the footage out as soon as possible. As always, thank y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And Michael,
hey, till next time, y'all have a good one. God bless y'all. Grace, peace.
Thank y'all for watching.